All right, so hello everyone. Welcome to the March community session. I don't know if I should say hello to everyone or I should say bonjour à tous. I'm just practicing a little bit my French there. It's perhaps the more appropriate terminology. We've got a special week, a special month due to the BackstageCon and KubeCon are happening at the minute in Paris. We have a large part of the community attending there. Also coming up to the community session live. We're going to hear more from them in a little bit. So before I forget, just please have a croissant for me as well, as cliche as that sounds. Nothing beats the Parisian pastries. For the quick agenda for today, looks something like this. I'll cover a short introduction and the release highlights, and then we'll pass it on to the Backstage community members in Paris. Namely, I'll start with Andre to see what they've been up to and how this week has been treating them. And then we're going to conclude with a Q&A. But before we do anything else, I just wanted to remind everyone that officially this week, Backstage is turning 4 years old since we open sourced this project. It's crazy to think how time flies. It feels like yesterday we open sourced this project during a hack week, just before the pandemic hit. And we prepared a little bit of a second, admitting more people. That's Vincenzo guest. Nice. I'll play a short video that should depict a little bit our the moment. Please let me know. It should be on with the sound as well. That was abrupt at the end. Wonderful. I hope that worked. And all right, 1 second. Let me admit Beth as well. And then I can move on to, sorry, to the next slide. If it doesn't work, I'll do this instead. Cool. Each year during its birthday, I kind of like to pull this history slide up to learn where we've been in order to kind of like learn where we're going. Just want to spend a few seconds to ponder a little bit on this slide. We've come a long way from tracking all the systems in a spreadsheet, haven't we? But speaking of the future, let's talk about what 1.24 release that just shipped yesterday live from Paris, from KubeCon and BackstageCon. How did that go? We've got plenty of new exciting stuff in there. Most importantly, it was shipped live, which is always fun to do. I'll try to cover a couple of the basics in here. We have a couple of good things that shipped with 1.24. We've got number one on the list. We've got some auth improvements. This release marks a big milestone for us when it comes to authentication security going forward, because we laid out the foundation to enable security by default in Backstage. So things such as cross-site request forgery or RAID limit by default, better cookie authentication and stuff like that, all of them mandated so far a separate proxy to protect from unauthorized access. All of these will become available to use by default within the open source Backstage out of the box. A short disclaimer there, most of these are built on top of the new backend system, but there are backward compatibility layers to use for the old system as well. This is the first release that lays out the foundation of this work, but we will continue to ship updates as 125 hits next month as well, to kind of like have a fully featured set of authentication by default. There's more documentation in the release notes for this one. I'm not going to cover them right now, but there's a lot of support for all of you in there. Also within this release, we also have improvements shipped for the event system to have better compatibility with the new backend system by handling communication to a new event service. The existing modules have already been refactored, but there is extensive documentation on how to plug in the legacy backend system in there. just wanted to extend a huge shout out to Patrick Jungerman. I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly, for your contribution. Speaking of the new backend system, it's now default when creating a new project with Create App. So you kind of like get that new backend off the top of your shelf when you build on top of the new backend system. This is kind of like our way to pave slowly the way to make this the new standard as we go forward. In this release, the local development also got a major improvement, courtesy to Aramis. Thank you for your contributions. We have a new guest auth provider that allows us to get a valid session and a Backstage user token. So those of you that were lacking this kind of things while developing in your local instance, they're now available as of 124. Sorry. Thank you again, Aramis, for your contribution. And last but not least, I wanted to touch base quickly on Scaffolder, who received a new testing library to make it easier to write tests in the future. We all love tests. We should write more tests. Everything should be test-driven. So we encourage everyone to kind of like switch to the new framework to make sure that you avoid breaking changes in the future. And last but not least, internationalization also is now broadly supported in the core components library, courtesy to Mario. Thank you so much for your contribution. You can now customize the messages in your application. There is more documentation, again, linked into the release notes. I'm not going to cover that right now. But yeah, a lot of good improvements in 124, more to come in 125, as this is, again, as I said, just laying down the foundation. But I'll stop rambling, and I want to pass on to folks in Paris who have been having a lot of fun and have been having a very eventful conference. So I think the first one I'm handing this off is, sorry, Andre, you have the floor.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, it's all good.
We're good? Awesome.
Yep, it works.
Oh yeah, I am here at KubeCon the day after BackstageCon, which ended up being very, very busy. Lots of great talks, some highlights. Peter here did a great talk on fine-grained permissions with OPA. Vincenzo, who's hiding over here, did a great talk on scaling Backstage, which was a highlight. We had a great talk about localization. There's a bunch of really good lightning talks. There was one about OpenAPI and the related tooling that was really great. So lots of great talks. And definitely go check out YouTube for those in a couple of weeks when they come out. I spent most of my day at the booth. As you can maybe tell, I'm losing my voice. Talking to people from people who are like, what is Backstage, to people who are like, I've used Backstage for 2 years. So it's been a wonderful day of talking with people about Backstage, and very exciting time over here.
I was gonna comment, Andrew, that clearly based on your voice, you've been spending a lot of time engaging and talking to everyone there. So sounds like it's been a very fruitful event. Anyone else wants to share any updates in there? If not, happy to move on to the last part of the Q&A.
So
if we have,
did he ask me something?
If anyone else wants to share some updates.
Do we have any other updates to share?
We had a packed maintainer track talk just a couple of hours ago, which is also going to be up on YouTube, containing a lot of our thinking roadmap forward for backend system, front-end systems, in general, just what's going on around the project, the new web process, and updates in general of the project area. If you're interested in the new auth system, Previn and I did a lightning talk as well. This a new maintainer lightning talk thing that the CNCF is trying out. So we tried out that too. Just quick talk fire round on the new auth system and how it works. Any other updates? We got David and Beth here from Red Hat, who's helping us start the project pavilion today.
all right. Thank you so much for that, Patrick, with the update. For more updates from the maintainers and everyone in there. Sounds like there's a lot of fruitful conversations, a lot of fun. May you all have a great rest of the week. Does anyone else want to speak up before we move to the Q&A? Cool. That said, I'll open the floor for any open questions that may be within the room, whether on-site. I presume you're all there, so there's a lot of conversations happening. If not, happy to give back all the rest of the time to you all. Have a wonderful rest of the week in the conference in Paris. For those of you that joined a little bit later, this call, it's going to be recorded. Sorry, it is being recorded. We're going to post this on YouTube so you can just watch the update. There's a lot of cool stuff happening in Paris. Thank you so much for attending. Have a great rest of the week, everyone. Thank you.